disgusted. Everybody was so glad to have such a normal life. I didn't find out till years later that a friend of mine had lost a leg in training for the Air Force, or another friend of mine had been caught in a burning tank in France. Nobody ever mentioned it. I was in actual combat 46 straight days. And it was just mud, snow, rain. Somebody would say, let's go, and we'd all get out of our foxholes and start across a field or something. What they would do is they'd let you take the hill, and then they had it zeroed in from artillery from somewhere else. They'd let you take the hill, and then they'd just let the artillery come down on you. And that's how I got hit. Was flak from artillery. Came back into the New York Harbor and saw the Statue of Liberty. Yeah, but there wasn't a dry eye on the ship. That was a sight I'll never forget. And one of the guys in my group school was a kid that was played on the University of Georgia tennis team. Well, so he got involved in the fancy tennis circles of Hartford, Connecticut. He met a judge who had 3 daughters. And one of the daughters had a good friend who was home from college and didn't know anybody. And would I go out with her? As they said, she was tall. So I agreed to go out, and that's how I met Barbara. It was a blind date. We tried to have a long-distance relationship. In other words, I left Hartford. The Aetna sent me to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, for my first assignment, and so we tried to keep a long-distance thing going. I flew out there, or drove out there, I guess, a couple of times, but the last time we were on a train between Hartford and New York. The trains were always crowded in those days, so we were between cars, standing up there, riding to New York. She was going back to college, and I guess I was going to take the train back to Milwaukee. I don't know. And I proposed and gave her a ring, and she accepted. Several months later, I had to go to Minneapolis. My mother was ill in the hospital up there. So I called Barbara from Minneapolis, and then she announced that she was breaking off the engagement. So I said, well, just send the ring back. and finally her father did make her send the ring back. Well, after she graduated, she had second thoughts, I guess, because she had a friend in Milwaukee who father owned a radio station, so she got a job in radio. And so she came out to Milwaukee and stayed in they had boarding houses in those days. So we rekindled our relationship, and then we decided to get married. She walked the beach almost every day. In her 40s, we got a call one Friday. She had gone to the doctor. I know it was a routine physical, but a Friday night we got a call from our doctor, who was also a surgeon. Said, "You have breast cancer, and I want to operate on Monday." And the way she handled it is she made me go to a basketball game Saturday night, where we ran into some friends, and then bright and early Monday morning, she was in surgery and had a mastectomy. As I recall, when I first saw her, she said, "Do you want a divorce?" And I said, "Well, not really." And then later in life, she had both hips replaced when we had retired to Florida. She handled that beautifully, as she always did. And yeah, she went through a few tough times. Well, she had a coughing spell, and I should have paid more attention, but I didn't. And after she finished calling, I said, "Oh, come on over and look. I got something to show you." And she really didn't comprehend what I was saying, so I should have known something. She had had a spell like this 2 or 3 times, where she kind of lost it for a few seconds. But she had been to the doctor about it. So, but anyhow, finally she said, I said, I'm going to call 911, and I did. And so they came, and she said, "This is not very good," or something like that. And by the time I followed the ambulance to the hospital, and I walked in, the doctor said, "Do you have anybody you can call?" That was it. I just... It's a lot different, but as I say, everybody goes through it.